chat room, but it will be in there. Also, we will have a call to the audience at this meeting. At this time, I'm not sure that anybody has contacted us in reference to speaking at Call the Audience, but we will get to that here shortly on the agenda. And that's it. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate you taking the time to attend tonight's meeting.
You're muted, Mr. Chair.
See, I'm trying to be good and keep it shut off, but I keep forgetting. Sorry about that. Yes, let's start over. After call to order, approval of the minutes is the second item on the agenda. Has everybody received the minutes, and does anybody have any comments or corrections?
Move to approve.
Okay, who was that?
Beeman.
Ed Beeman. Do we have a second?
Second it. I second it.
Okay. And do we have any discussion? Hearing none, I'll say I think we do need to do a roll call on this, don't we? So you want to call the roll, Letitia?
Yes. Wyruth? Al?
Oh, you're off. Is your microphone off, Al?
I'll come back. Bruce Burke?
Yes.
Thank you. Cindy Ayala?
Yes.
Thank you. Halbert?
Yes.
Thank you. Leanne Hernandez?
Yes.
Thank you. Liz Soltero?
Here.
We're approving the minutes at the moment. Do you approve or?
Yes, sorry.
Okay, thank you. Ian Johnson?
Aye.
Thank you. Jesse Lugo?
Yes.
Thank you. And Ned Beeman?
Yes.
Thank you. Wyruth?
Yes.
Thank you. We do have an approval, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is call to the audience. Is there anyone here in the audience who wish to speak? Please speak up. And if so, I'm waiting to hear. I am not hearing anything. Am I correct in not hearing anything? Anybody want to speak up? Okay. We have nobody responding to call to the audience, so we'll move forward to item 4 on the agenda. I haven't looked to see whether he's here. I assume he is here.
I'm here, Dale.
Are you? Very good. We have a new director of the Department of Transportation and Mobility. His name is Sam Crida. How do you say it, Sam?
Credio.
Credio. Okay. I probably mispronounced it every way I could do so, so we'll try to get it right. Sam Credio is the new director of the Department of Transportation and Mobility. I just, so everybody knows, I did sit on the interview panel, and I think he's a very good new director. And would you like to make a few comments?
Yes, thank you, Dale, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me take a little bit of time on your agenda. As Dale Calvert said, I am Sam Credio. Many of you are familiar faces, mainly because I spent the first 9 years of my career at the city in transportation. The last about 12, 15 months I spent in the city manager's office on a special assignment. So I'm really excited to be rejoining the department and stepping into this role. We have a lot of exciting stuff ahead of us. And so I'm really looking forward to working with all of you. I'm pretty familiar with the role of the BOC, as my time in transportation was spent primarily in engineering, so I'm pretty familiar with the work you all are doing. I do appreciate the time and effort that you have dedicated to serve on this BOC, and I look forward to working with you all in the future. Thanks a lot, Dale. I appreciate that.
We appreciate having you here, and feel free to hang around, but I also understand if you want to go to dinner. So, okay, thank you. Moving on to item 5. We have Robin Rain is going to discuss the process to select mayor and council $14 million projects. Robin, are you there?
I am.
Okay, Robin, floor is all yours.
Okay, so I think you're all aware that the 14 million was something the mayor and council put together, and they had 2 million each ward to spend on local roads, neighborhoods in their ward, and then the mayor's office had 2 million to spend anywhere in the city. So the process went that DTM staff presented the initial recommendations to each ward office, and we used the following criteria: local streets, worst first by ward, right within their ward, and we selected polygons, and you all are familiar with what a polygon looks like. When we selected the lowest OCI within each ward that was close to but under the $2 million. Any polygons that exceeded 2 million, we skipped. So we selected areas that had more than 50% residential, and primarily they were ones where we would have recommended reconstruction. All the wards ended up choosing some level of resurfacing instead of reconstruction. And after individual meetings with the mayor's office and each of the council offices, they came to the following conclusions. In Ward 1, they focused on the south side of the ward and addressed bicycle boulevards, and those selections included Santa Clara Avenue, Nebraska Street, and Liberty Avenue. Ward 2 wanted to resurface specific neighborhoods, and they selected Hidden Hills, Fountain Park, and a portion of Desert Steps. Ward 3 determined a resurfacing of a portion of Jefferson Park, and then they wanted to enhance that with a GSI project in addition. Ward 4 selected resurfacing of Groves, Lincoln Park, a portion of that, and Saguaro Canyon. Ward 5 selected specific neighborhoods, Grandview Addition, a portion of that, but also specific streets. So they had Milton Road, Menorca Road, Jeanette Boulevard, White Rock Avenue, and Liberty Bike Boulevard, the portion from Ward 1 and then farther on. So that whole Bike Boulevard is now resurfaced. And Ward 6 resurfaced specific neighborhoods is what they selected, which was Palo Verde, a portion of that one, and a portion of North University. The mayor's office decided to layer the monies with some safety enhancements and GSI in the Las Vistas area or Western Hills. It's also going to include some water main replacement that was already planned for the area. So it's just going to be a larger combo project, so it's taking a little longer. And that was the process. I'm sorry, Dale, you're muted.
I know. I seem to be having a hard time getting used to that. Anyway, thank you very much, Robin, for your report. And are there any questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
I just I must be like not remembering. What's GSI again?
Oh, green stormwater infrastructure.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
Sorry about that. I just
Any other?
Mr. Chairman, it's Al.
Jesse. Yes, go ahead, Jesse.
I was just curious, I mean, these were selected, but when will these projects be ongoing?
So a lot of them have already been accomplished. Word 1 for sure. A couple of them are going to be later, like this summer, because we've had an asphalt shortage. And then the mayor's will be next year because it's such a complicated project.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other
So
questions?
will you be giving us a schedule or a list of maybe at the next meeting of when these things we expect to see them occurring?
Well, hold on, can you find the last update to the
Mr. Chair, we'll put that on the agenda.
Okay,
uh,
very good.
For the next meeting. I'll make note
Thank
of
you,
that.
Mike.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Okay.
I
Have
found
you
it.
anything else you want to add, Robin?
Well, I found it actually, the, when it was anticipated. So Ward 1, the pavement is done. Ward 2, the pavement is done. Ward 3 was supposed to start in May, and I think it still is. And Ward 4 will start later because of the asphalt shortage. Ward 5, some of it started a while ago, and the rest of it is starting pretty like now.
Okay. Ward 6?
6. Sorry, I didn't get all the way down my list. Ward 6, the pavement is mostly done.
Okay, and
Most of these
I
are bleeding ADA.
okay. And I assume that the mayor's has not been finalized because it hasn't been done yet. Okay,
Yeah, we don't have a schedule for the mayor's, because
Okay.
it's got a whole bunch of layers and it's not designed, so we wouldn't have an anticipated construction until we know
Yeah.
what the design looks like.
So,
Okay.
Mr. Chair, so Al, does that answer your question that we don't need to agendize that item?
Mike, we don't need to agendize. That's fine.
Great, thank you.
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chair. Mr. Chair, Jesse Lugo.
Yes, Jesse.
Yeah, I didn't speak. There was someone else speaking on my behalf, but I for one, I was not pleased with the process of mayor and council then directing $2 million for each portion after we spent 5 years of looking at each and every issue that presented each specific ward. So I would like to make sure that mayor and council, I for one was not pleased with that process. It should have been then just directed over to the commission. So then, because like I for myself visited every single street that was approved for Ward 5, and I'm not sure about the rest of them. But one thing that that I believe that the money should be directed strictly for neighborhood, period. No bike lanes, no safety issues, no traffic lights, period.
There weren't any traffic.
Will be are noted, and you know, I'll be very honest with you from my standpoint. We serve at the mayor and council's direction, and if they decide to do it another way, I think they have the power to do that, and I think they did. So,
Mr. Chairman,
I understand it, but as I said, your comments are noted, and I think it's a dead issue because it's done.
that was
So,
a dead issue, but I want to finish my comments with this because if mayor and council wants to interject, because after all, they appoint us to oversee these funds on it. If they feel that this commission is not needed, and what the hell are we doing? You know, let them do as to what the voters, elected them to do.
Yep. Well, your comments, Mike, will you make sure the comments are in the minutes?
Yes, sir. We'll make sure that that is in the minutes. Thank you.
Okay. We'll make sure it's in the minutes, Jesse.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay. Okay. Do you have anything else to add, Robin? I think I asked you before. Okay. Very good. We'll move on to item 6 on the agenda, and that's also Robin, and that's the Los Reales replacement project. What we got?
So Los Reales Road, which you can see here, can you see it on screen? I'm trying to share.
Yes.
Okay. Is this section of Los Reales is in red here at the bottom of the map? You can see my cursor along there. And it turns out the southern half of this right of way belongs to the Tohono O'odham Nation. So we tried to start the wheels rolling to get that done within the Tohono O'odham Nation, but they need us to purchase that right of way in order to construct it. And it was not going to be able to be done timely because that sort of process takes a lot of years. So we determined we should bring this to you for a decision to replace this section of Los Reales with this section of 6th Ave. So to be clear, the Los Reales goes from Santa Clara over here to Old Nogales Highway, and 6th Ave goes from Valencia down to Los Reales. They're both obviously in Ward 1, and they are both approximately the same cost to fix. So we'd like to ask you to replace Los Reales with 6th Avenue for this 101 major street, so that we can get this done within the time frame to spend the 101 money.
Okay, I understand the request. Do we, well, let me make a quick comment. Having been an auditor working on Indian reservations, I think generally those kind of acquisitions have to go through Congress. So when you say many years, I assume that that's partially what you're talking about.
Yes, very long and complicated.
Yes. So, so with that said, would somebody like to discuss, make a motion to adopt the recommendation?
Dale,
Also
I'll
move.
motion.
Well, I'll second.
Okay. Okay. Can we say who each person is?
Yeah,
It was me, Liz Soltero, for the
Okay.
motion.
Very
it
good.
was Bruce Burke for the second.
Okay, thank you. We got a motion and a second. Is there any discussion of this topic? Because Sonny wants to make a comment.
Ian, I have a question. I mean, I'm assuming
Go
that
ahead, Ian.
I'm
It's all
assuming
yours.
I'm assuming these roads are in similar condition. It's not like, I mean, they're equally bad right now. Would that be an accurate statement?
They're both pretty bad. You can see by the map that they're approximately the same length and they're approximately the same cost. So yes,
Yeah.
they're about the same level of treatment.
Thank you.
Okay. Cynthia, I see you have your hand up. You got a
This is
question?
Cindy.
Yeah, Cindy.
Yeah, weren't we notified of this sooner than now?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand.
Why weren't we notified about this sooner than right now?
We were actually notified of it, I think in the last meeting or the last two meetings, that there was a problem with the right of way and that they were looking for, they had looked, and we had talked about it in a couple meetings, that there was a problem with the right of way and that was delaying the project. And then there was a determination that the right of way could not be acquired in a timely manner. So that's the background. And so I think I'm stating that correctly. I think it's been a part of the reports.
I think it has been.
And generally, how long would it take for it to be changed up to be bought, actually? That's what I'm kind of curious about right now.
So if I can step in, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So we started Los Realos well over a year ago. It may have been longer than a year ago. And we had meetings with the nation. We had meetings with Desert Dime Casino. We paused that project for the casino to assist them with the Easter weekend and so forth. That's the busiest time of year for Desert Diamond. We went to move forward with starting the project over again. We did two separate mailings, major large mailings to the area. And it wasn't until the chairman reached out to the mayor's office to let us know that, by the way, we own half the roadway. There was a lot of time spent in researching to make sure that, in fact, that they did own the roadway. We had different documents that showed that it was ours through Pima County's through an annexation. Later determined through, like I said, a lot of homework that was done, a lot of research that was done, and it was determined that the southern half of the roadway was owned by the nation. We then spent some time, Cindy, working to try to find if we could find the money to purchase that section of the roadway. We had the city attorney's office involved. And once again, there was some time spent trying to determine the funding. Prop 101 does not have the capability to purchase the right of way. That's not part of the program. So we were trying to find money from other areas to do that. Then we came to the determination that we don't have the money, but the roadway needs to be done. The condition is failed. It needs a reconstruct. So we pushed it to the side and then started working to find an alternative, working with staff. So it's been a long process. We have made the BOC aware that throughout this process that there was a delay with Los Reales and that we were trying to find the money, and we've come to the conclusion we just don't have the money at this point. And so we're going to try to find that funding from a source down the road, but we don't know when that is going to occur.
And then, like you mentioned, Dale, it just takes forever once we actually do determine we have funding to get it through the process.
Yes, yes. And am I correct that it does require congressional approval, or do you know?
I don't know.
Okay. I know, I've banged around in a couple of these issues. My father-in-law was the chief ranger at Swan National Park for many years too. And I know acquisitions like this just go on forever. Ian, I see you still have your hand up, or is that just left over?
Sorry, that's left over.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else have any other questions? And Cindy, does that answer yours?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Jesse Lugo.
Yes, Jesse.
It appears that this Los Reales Road is on Ward 5. Is that correct?
I would think so. Is that correct, staff?
I thought that you were both in Ward 1. You can
It's
sort
Ward-
of see the outline here of the ward right there.
It is
Yeah.
it is Ward 1.
Okay.
Well, Ward 1, if that needs to be corrected, because 6th Avenue, actually 12th Avenue west is Ward 1, to the east is Ward 5. So it appears that the majority of that roadway is Ward 5, not Ward 1.
Los Reales? Well, then 6 is in Ward 1 also then, or
Okay.
Ward 5.
Now here's a question: is when you're seeking for funding, is that funding going to come from major arterials or neighborhood streets?
Arterials. And we're not seeking funding, we're just replacing the funding for Los Reales to 6th Avenue.
But on the Los Reales, how are you going to fund it? Is it going to be on Prop 101?
Jesse, it can't be Prop 101 because this is basically right-of-way acquisition, and Prop 101 funds don't allow us to purchase right-of-way. That's not something that voters approved. So the funding search is going to be basically wherever we can find funding. At this point, I mean, if we can get some type of, grant money or, wherever we can find the money to make the right-of-way acquisition, that's what we're going to do. But we have not identified the source yet. We're seeking that.
Can her funds be utilized for acquisitions or not?
In some cases.
Is that Robin?
Yes, it's Robin. I think in some cases, it's not clear whether this is one of them.
Okay, and in my opinion, I think we need to, since in my opinion, it consists in Ward 5, I'd say put this on hold until we get more information before any approval is done on Los Reales.
Are you making that as a substitute motion, Jesse?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Is there a second to that motion? I am not hearing a second. Is there a second out there? Okay, Jesse, I think your motion dies for lack of a second. I'll give it another minute, but if somebody wants to say something, say so.
While we're waiting for someone, if they want to make a second, for the past 2.5 years, this is what happens when we don't have public meetings, person to person, having virtual meetings or Zoom meetings. We just can't conduct business this type of way.
Your comment is noted. I hear no second, so your motion dies. We go back to the original motion. Is there any more comments about the original motion recommending that the project 101 money be moved to the Sixth Street project or from the Los Reales project? Is there Sixth Avenue?
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, this is Al.
Mhm.
This is Al. If I could make a friendly addition to that the committee recommends or requests strongly that the city continue its effort to find additional funding to fix Los Realos road as initially provided to the committee, including purchasing any right-of-way using some kind of official or futuristic funds that they are able to find. If that's acceptable to the second and to the original owner of the motion.
Well, it was Cindy, you made the motion, didn't you?
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
No, I didn't.
No, I made the just original motion.
Well, when you say
Yeah,
I,
it's just
okay, is that a proposed amendment acceptable to you?
Yes.
Okay, Bruce, is it acceptable to you?
Well, I guess I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I'm just not clear on the purpose of it and whether it complicates the motion that's before us. If staff could give me some feedback on that, if there's no discomfort with this, then certainly I don't have an objection.
Okay, any comments, staff? Robin or Mike?
I don't think we have any objection to continuing to determine a funding source and then moving forward with the acquisition when we have located that funding source, which is what I heard the amendment to be.
Yes, yeah. I
Here-
think the amendment, the only effect of the amendment is to do what the city has announced that was their intention.
Yeah.
So,
Then I'll have no objection.
okay. With that said, I think it's time to do a roll call. Are we ready to do a roll call?
Yes. Weinroot,
yes.
thank you. Bruce Burke,
Yes.
thank you. Cindy Ayala,
Yes.
thank you. Dale Calvert,
Yes.
thank you. Leanne Hernandez,
Yes.
thank you. Liz Soltero,
Yes.
thank you. Ian Johnson,
Yes.
thank you. Jesse Lugo,
No, as per my comments that were stated.
thank you. Ned Beeman,
Yes.
thank you. We do have an approval, Chair.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I assume you have nothing more on this, Robin, and I should move on to item 7?
Yes.
Okay. Item 7 is the 5th, 6th Street bicycle counts. I assume, and that's Mike. Are you ready for that, Mike?
I'm here, yes, and I will speak to this, but I'm not ready. So
Okay.
at 5:10 p.m. tonight, I received the traffic counts that I requested last week, or not traffic, the bike ped counts. It's 11 pages worth of material and maps with counts. Commissioner Lugo was the one that asked this to be put on the agenda. And quite frankly, I did not have time in 10 minutes to try to go through that data and the maps to put something together. So I'm asking if we could table this item for the next BOC meeting.
Okay, Jesse, since this is your request, do you have any issue with that? Obviously, we'll take care of it then.
I do, because most likely at our meeting, probably the 401, 411 election is scheduled for May the 17th will be over. So it'll be a moot issue about it.
So how would you like me to proceed? Is this something that I can send out? And can I do this in an email later this week? Would that be okay?
Well, I have an issue with the whole Prop 400. This is not the time to discuss the Proposition 400, because based on the propaganda that I receive on it, it does not mention how the funding is going to be used, specifically like this 5th and 6th Street with a bicycle that, as based on the previous meeting, it was stated that 2 lanes with a center turn lane with a 6-foot right of way for bicycles. And I think it's important that, the voters need to be aware of, because in my opinion, 5th, 6th Street is a major corridor to move traffic from east to west. And certainly the voters should be aware of what may occur if Prop 411 is passed.
Let me be clear here. I don't think this project, the 5th, 6th Street project, involves Prop 411 at all. This, if I understand, Mike, the 5th, 6th Street project involves both the Prop 101 and the other bicycle part of that is funded by the bicycle and park proposal that passed 2 years ago, 4 years ago.
So
whatever.
Ryan did the presentation at our last special meeting, and there's a section from Campbell to, I believe it's Alvernon, that is Proposition 407, and that we are Country Club to Wilmot Road is Proposition 101. And the Proposition 101 segment is a reconstruction, like I said, from Country Club to Wilmot Road. And then the other section is a Prop 407 that is based upon improving sidewalks and accessibility. And what the city is looking at doing, or the Department of Transportation and Mobility, is to combine both the 407 project and the 101, with the potential, following public meetings and public outreach, conduct a survey to determine if we want to right size the entire roadway from Campbell to Country Club Road. So you are correct. This isn't any funding from 411. It's funding through Proposition 407 and Proposition 101.
Yeah, the question that I have on it, I don't recall that this particular project was noted on either Prop 407 and 101 of the proposed, then what the improvements want to be done on 5th and 6th Street, as based on the previous meeting, what was noted that 2 vehicle lanes with 1 turn lane and a 6-foot right of way.
So Jesse, if you, if I may, if you recall, the ballot proposal for Proposition 101 was the resurfacing of arterial and collector roadways, as well as a neighborhood element. And it was a 60% allocation to arterials and a 40% to neighborhoods. The map that was given to voters of the arterials was voted upon, with the selection process for the local streets was through staff recommendation to the BOC. The proposition didn't identify restriping. It was basically resurfacing, asphalt improvements, curb to curb. And that's what voters approved, was the resurfacing of a roadway, a map of arterials and collectors from curb to curb. And what the work that we're doing out there is exactly that. We are reconstructing 5th, 6th Street from Country Club Road to Wilmot Boulevard. So we are following what voters approved, and that is a resurfacing, reconstruction of 5th, 6th Street.
Mike, but I don't recall in the language that stated that the Fifth to Sixth Street will be cut from 2 lanes going east and west. So actually 4 lanes to 2 lanes. I don't recall ever reading that language.
It was not in the language. The language was that we are going to resurface roadways, and there was a map that was provided, and we are doing just that. We're resurfacing the roadway.
Well, if the scope of the project has changed to delete 2 lanes, only 1 way east and west, then it's a change of what the voters, I believe, like myself, I didn't see the language. So with that said, it needs to be readdressed by mayor and council, because it's the wrong thing to do if the voters said to change the project after the proposition was passed.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
this is Al.
Yes, Al.
Looking back at the minutes for February on paragraph 6, it did talk about the 5th and 6th Street going from 2 lanes to 1 lane. But what it was going to be doing is that there would be a public outreach and waiting for feedback and input from the community. And also a business outreach would be conducted at the same time, according to Michael Graham. And so it was at least brought up to us in the February meeting. It's in the minutes. In fact, the minutes are actually the minutes for the January meeting. I apologize for this year, January 10th, numbered paragraph 6. And so, but what about the outreach then, Michael? Did that get completed, and did the community like the idea of whatever was proposed? Because I haven't.
Sure.
I
can speak to that, Al. Thank you. So the first phase, I'm going to call it phase 1 of the outreach effort, was to do public meetings and a presentation and get survey results for the residents and the neighborhoods that are along the corridor from Campbell Avenue to Wilmot Road. So that was phase 1 of the outreach effort. We've done that. We've met with neighborhood associations. We also met with businesses. We've had meetings both in public as well as meetings that have been all virtual. And the survey results are showing that the majority is in favor of right sizing the roadway, and that is going from the current configuration of 2 lanes in each direction to 1 lane in each direction, center turn lane with bicycle lanes. Following this survey and the public outreach and what I'm calling phase 1, we're going to do a broader outreach program, which we are starting right now. So we've got those who live along the corridor, along the, from Campbell to Wilmot Road. There are a lot of commuters that use 5th, 6th Street from the east side, the west side to get across town. And so now we're going to start a broader outreach in what we're calling phase 2. And that outreach will engage a larger amount of the community. We're actually, I believe, Erica, maybe you can put this in chat or you can speak up. We have a virtual meeting with the University of Arizona Parking and Transportation, which includes UAPD and Arizona Athletics. That meeting is scheduled for Thursday. It's a virtual meeting, and we're going to do a presentation to that group and give them the survey. We have also sent an email out to Tucson Unified School District to check their availability to also have a presentation done to the transportation department within TUSD, as well as the principals or the administration of the schools that are along that corridor: Rincon High School, Rincon University High School, Sewell Elementary School, and there's several more schools along that roadway. They have not gotten back to me or Erica on a time frame to hold that meeting, but we're working towards getting that broader outreach done.
Okay, Bruce, I'll come to you in just a minute, but I wanted to throw in a comment here. But I want to make clear that there at this point, there has to be further public input, and then this has to go before the mayor and council, and that decision has not been made. Am I correct, Mike? Are you there, Mike? Yeah.
Yeah, hold on a minute. I'm having problems muting and unmuting. Can you guys hear me?
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
we,
You're muted now, Mike.
Mike,
How about now?
yeah, you came through that time.
Okay, good. Just really slow right here. What was the question again?
The question, just clarification, the clarification is, at this point, there is not a decision one way or the other. Am I not correct?
There is not a decision that has been made. We have a lot more outreach to do on this proposed right sizing. And then I remember now, we will have a discussion with mayor and council as well. That is
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, so. Okay, Bruce, you had a comment.
Thank you, Dale. I wanted to return to what I understood Mike's original comments to be, Mike Graham's. And that is, Mike, if I understand, you just received the materials in a less than timely fashion and really haven't had a chance to digest it, but there is no concern about getting that out to us, and you're proposing a way to do that within the next couple of days, correct?
You know, I am. I could spend some time tomorrow to go through it. Give me a sec here. But I have 11 pages of diagrams like this that I have to try to decipher and this is front and back. I got to try to decipher what these counts are. And like I said, I apologize that I received this information so late, but I can get an email out, whatever I'm legally allowed to do to get you this information. I'll absolutely get it to you by the end of this week. So I am
Well, I guess
off
that's
Wednesday. So
that would be my point, Mr. Chairman. I don't think there is any intention on the part of staff, or nor is that implied necessarily in Mr. Lugo's comments. But if Mr. Lugo's concern is to have this information before the election, certainly 1 week, by the end of this week, would be adequate to get it in the hands of the entire board. And so that would be my proposal and motion, that we request Mr. Graham to digest the data that he's very recently received and distribute it in an intelligent fashion to board members and staff by the end of the week. If that works for you, Mike?
I'll do everything I can. Like I said, my apologies for that. And
I'm not asking for an apology. I don't think it's necessary. I think we understand.
I'll get it done. No, I'll get it done, and I will make sure that I have a conversation with staff that I requested this information last Monday, not today, last Monday, and I got it today at 5:10. So yeah, I'll have a conversation.
So I'm just making that motion to resolve the matter and move forward.
We have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
This is Al, I'll second it.
Okay, Al, thank you. Now, do we have discussion?
Jesse Lugo, one last comment. If Mike can, I would like a copy of the first survey for virtual meetings and public meetings that were held with us. So if you could do that, Mike, I certainly would appreciate that.
Hey, Jesse, we've of that phase 1, that's what you're talking. We have that data available, and we have that already compiled. So we will get that to the entire commission.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Okay, any other discussion?
Mr. Chair, I have one quick thing I wanted to ask. So I just wanted to be clear. I mean, this isn't the right sizing is not primarily a project to get bike lanes in. My understanding is that it's actually a safety enhancement for drivers primarily, and also for pedestrians who are crossing the street. So determining the bike counts on 6th right now, I mean, it's a really dangerous street to ride a bike on, so they're going to be minimal. And I don't think that's even the point anyway. I mean, in the context that I understand it, the idea is that it's going to reduce crashes by like up to 50% roughly, and increase travel time at peak hours by about 6 to 8%. So to me, it's like, if we find out there are no bikes on that street, you know, that's, it's not going to surprise anybody, but that's also not the point, if I understand that right.
Yep.
So I can tell you that in the email I received this evening from staff, it did state in there that just what you said, Ian, this is a safety project. It's not a bike boulevard or a bicycle improvement. This is a safety project. And the numbers will be a little misleading about the current count of bicyclists using 5th, 6th, because it really doesn't occur that often, because there is no room and it's extremely dangerous. And there is a bike boulevard to the north, 2 blocks to the north, which is the 3rd Street Bike Boulevard. So the counts are going to be probably very low, because people, I've seen people on 5th, 6th on bikes, and I don't know, you know, I'm not going to give my opinion, but anyways, the counts are going to be low because it's not used, because the facilities do not exist for people to safely bike along 5th, 6th Street.
Okay. Comments made. Do we have any other comments? Hearing none. Oh, Bruce, your hand's still up. Did you have a
No,
comment?
no, I'll just have to figure out how to take my hand down.
Okay. Thank you. There, where you go to the hand thing, you can raise it or lower it. Thank you. Okay. With all that said, then I think it's time we need a roll call and a vote on the motion.
Okay. So let's see. Al Wyruth,
Yes.
thank you. Bruce Burke,
Yes,
thank you. Cindy Ayala,
Yes.
thank you. Dale Calvert,
Yes.
thank you. Leon Hernandez,
Sorry, yes.
thank you. Liz Otero,
Yes.
thank you. Ian Johnson,
Yes.
thank you. Jesse Lugo, I think you're muted, Jesse.
I'm sorry, I had the mic, no, as per my comments that were stated.
Okay, thank you. Ned Beeman,
Yes.
thank you. We do have an approval, Mr. Chair.
Okay, we have approval, and my understanding is that the department will get out the information by the end of the week. Thank you. Moving on to item 8, Prop 411 update by Mike Graham. Now, and I'll say it again, my understanding is the 5th, 6th Street has nothing to do with Prop 411, other than what somebody, you know, because it actually doesn't involve any 411 money on 5th, 6th Street. So, okay. Mike, are you ready to do the 411 update?
I'm ready for this agenda item. Yes, I am. So
Thank you.
I certainly didn't think that the last item was going to take as long as it did. I think that you all are aware of Proposition 411. So I'm going to quickly go through this presentation that I have put together. It's not a PowerPoint. I did have a PowerPoint presentation, but with you all are familiar with this, so I'm just going to speak to this issue. So as many of you know, Mayor and Council earlier this year, I believe in January, moved forward and approved looking at an extension of the Prop 101 half-cent sales tax, excuse me, to to extend the half-cent sales tax for an additional 10 years. Ballots were mailed out last Wednesday, and that would have been April 20th. This is a single item on the ballot, and it is Prop 411, and the special election is on Tuesday, May 17th. If this is approved by voters, it'll be an extension of the half-cent sales tax that voters approved in 2017 for Prop 101. Will extend that half-cent sales tax for an additional 10 years. It is not raising the sales tax, it's just an extension of the sales tax. It's estimated to generate about $740 million over that 10-year period. All the funds will be used for transportation improvements, unlike Prop 101, which split between public safety and transportation. 80% of the funds that are associated with of the $70 million, which is about $590 million, will go towards fixing every neighborhood street within the city of Tucson, or every neighborhood street that the city maintains within the city of Tucson. 20% of that money, or roughly $150 million, is going to go for a safe street. Will go for safe street projects, and I'll explain a little bit more in a minute what those projects will be. Once again, this is to improve every neighborhood street within the city of Tucson. Those streets, we will do an engineering analysis to determine what the treatment type will be, and the treatments run the spectrum. It could be a fog seal, mill and overlay. It could be a reconstruction as well. As also part of Prop 411, there's a component to address the collector streets, and that component is $15 million that Mayor and Council approved. 11 million of that money would come from the Highway User Revenue Fund, or HERF money, and 4 million from the general fund. Back to the street safety projects, the $150 million, we're looking at pedestrian improvements, and that would be sidewalks, ADA ramps, and some signalized pedestrian crossings. We will also look at improving the bicycle element, and that would be connecting the existing network and making improvements and connecting that to the Chuck Huckleberry Loop. So that's part of the other safety improvements. Street lighting and traffic calming would also be part of that 20%. We'll have traffic signal upgrades along major roadways that support safe and efficient travel across the city of Tucson. As far as accountability and oversight, there will be 2 oversight commissions that will be part of Prop 411 if voters do approve it. There'll be an independent oversight and accountability commission, and that would be similar to the makeup of the Bond Oversight Commission. We have not received any word on the makeup, how that would take place, if it would be similar to what we have now. We're still awaiting that direction on what we're going to do. The other oversight for the street safety element would be the Complete Streets Coordinating Council that is already in place. And the council is made up of 20 Tucsonans, and they're already meeting, and they already have been formed, similar to what you all are as the Bond Oversight Commission. As we do with you all, there'll be technical assistance from DTM staff, not only to the Complete Streets Coordinating Council, but to the Independent Oversight and Accountability Commission as well. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to take those at this time.
Do we have any questions out there? Okay, I see a hand up. Cindy.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You were first.
Thanks, Cindy. So Mike, I'm just wondering, this is Leanne. I'm just wondering, is it looking like this then commission would be dissolved in favor of the other 2, or what are we looking at?
That's a great question, Leanne. We have not, that determination has not been made yet. And certainly when we get information on that, we will certainly pass that along to you all. But we have not been told in any way, shape, or form on what the makeup will be. If I'm a betting man, and I'm assuming that the commission would be set up with appointees from the city manager's office, the mayor, and the council, similar to what the Bond Oversight Commission has been made up. But we have not been given any direction on what this oversight commission will look like.
Thank you for that.
I'm going to step in here and make a comment. I attended as a member of the Tucson Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. I attended a presentation by the mayor, and she indicated that her preference, and she said she was going to communicate this preference, was that there be engineering staff or people with outside engineering experience on the commission. So I think she may be thinking that it's going to be a new one. I don't know that for sure. I haven't heard anything. I'm like Mike. Other than that, I haven't heard anything. But she did make that comment to the Chamber of Commerce. So what that means, I don't know from there. And Cindy, did you have a question?
Quick question. Is this going to be, when or if it's approved, is this going to be part of what Colin Chesterton is doing right now on the bike paths around the area, particularly down 36th Street?
It could be. It very well could be. It'll be similar as part of that would be the street safety improvements that we're looking at. Like I said, it's improvements of, pedestrian and bicycle improvements, sidewalks, ADA ramps, signalized pedestrian crossings, as well as the bicycle network improvements as well.
Oh boy, thanks.
Mm-hmm. Okay, do we have any other questions?
This is Al. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Ahead,
Michael, does this also improvements, traffic improvements include these EV charging facilities downtown or new parking meters and stuff, because old ones are busted, or the computers are getting fried in the sun?
So I have not heard that, Al. The street safety improvements are more pedestrian and bicycle and the traveling public with improvements, traffic signal upgrades and so forth. So it's my understanding that, parking meters and items such as that are not part of Prop 411. Remember, the major component of this, which is the 80%, is to improve every neighborhood street within the city of Tucson. And then 20% of that would be street safety improvements. And once again, street lots, sidewalks, ADA ramps, bicycle improvements and traffic signal upgrades.
Okay,
Thank
and
you.
Al, let me throw out something from, as you may or may not know, I sit on the Park Tucson Commission for the city, and we've been dealing with both the parking meter issue, and the primary problem that transpired with the unworking parking meters is that the Verizon shut down the two towers because they were shutting down, they shut down, I think it's 4G or 3G towers, and they shut those towers down, and the parking meters have communicate with those towers via modems in each parking meter. And what happened primarily to these parking meters was that the batteries were exhausted because they were trying to talk to a tower that wasn't there. And what transpired from there was that once they were trying to talk to those towers, the batteries were exhausted, and hence the parking meters ceased to be able to communicate, and people could no longer pay with their credit cards, etc., on those parking meters. The couple things that have transpired that's working on fixing that. One is that Verizon was in violation of their contract with the parking meter company that provides the parking meters to the city of Tucson. And Verizon has restarted those towers that were shut down, and they won't be shut down for a period of time. Two, the city of Tucson is the Park Tucson program has an ongoing program that is separately funded through Park Tucson to upgrade the modems in those parking meters, as well as doing regular maintenance. Parking meters are cycled out. There are more parking meters than are on the street. And we always have a reserve bunch of parking meters. And we send those parking meters to the manufacturer of the parking meters, and they update those. They're updating the modems, and they fix and update the parking meters as those are transpired. Unfortunately, that company shut that down for about a year during the pandemic. And so we're behind on that schedule, and we are working with trying to get them to get all the parking meters back up. But all of that is part of the Park Tucson program, paid for through the Park Tucson program. Does that help out?
Yes, thank you, Dale.
Okay. Do we have any other questions for Mike? Hearing none?
Yeah, actually, I've got a question. Dale.
Sure.
Bruce Burke here. We've had discussion about the composition of the commission, Mike, that would oversee Prop 411 if it passes. And I want to be clear on this point. While the exact nature of that commission isn't mandated, it is mandated in the proposal on the ballot, is it not, that there be a commission, an oversight commission, to be holding the process accountable?
No, that's 100% correct.
So, and refresh my memory, Mike, on the history of this commission, because my understanding was that it too was really something that formed as a consequence of the passage of 101.
So certainly I can do that, Bruce. The language was within Prop 409, and in the ordinance, I don't have it with me tonight where I'm at, but the ordinance for Proposition 409, which was the Road Recovery Bond Program, and that was in 2000. What year are we in? That was in 2012.
2012, yeah.
2012. The ordinance stated that there would be a commission that would oversee the funding, the revenue that was collected, as well as make the selection process for the local streets. So it was in 2012 was when the formation of the Bond Oversight Commission, I guess it would be your birth of the BOC. And then when Proposition 101 passed in 2017, the ordinance also included an oversight commission, which is you all that were extended into Proposition 101, and the mayor and council voted and decided to keep the name the same. With Prop 411, it appears that it's going to have a different, there'll be a different title, not Bond Oversight Commission. Like I said, I think it was the Independent Oversight Commission that will oversee the funds for this Proposition 411.
And just to follow up, Mike, when it was formed back in 2012, the detail of that commission and its structure, which is, I think, 4 appointees by mayor, by the city manager, and the rest by ward, that detail wasn't in the proposal, if my memory serves. It was really just a mandate that there be that type of commission, and that this commission formed as a consequence of passage.
Yes, I'm not familiar with the language on, that each council office would have an appointee, and then there would be 2, 3, 4 from the city manager. I don't recall if that was in the original ordinance back in 2012.
Okay. I guess I just wanted to make clear on the record here that while the nature and composition of that commission isn't established with finality, it's going to happen if this passes because it's mandated. There will be a commission.
There will be a commission. You are right.
Yep. Very good. I think that unless there's any other questions, I see one other
I'm trying to find a way to get my hand down.
No, that's not you.
Leanne? Oh,
Leanne. Yeah, it's Leanne. You have anything else, Leanne? No, her hand just, no, it's back up. Okay.
Sorry, just
Thank
trying to be too quick. Sorry about that, y'all.
No problem. We appreciate it. With that, let's move on to item 9 on the agenda, additional funding capacity. And yes, let's kind of move along if we can. We're running late, but we don't want to push something off the table either. You want Jeffrey? Are you ready to go with the Prop 101 additional funding capacity?
Indeed, I am. I'm going to give kind of a high-level run-through in the interest of time, but if anybody would like additional detail or to go into greater depth, happy to do so. Essentially, the last couple commission meetings, we've been having a conversation surrounding what would we like to see done with the surplus dollars that we were projecting and are projecting under Prop 101. We still believe that there will be surplus dollars to be allocated. However, we are in the email that went out to the commission on April 14th, putting a pause on pushing for and towards a final recommendation on what we should do with those funds, simply because we are concerned that we're not going to end up when all of the original Tucson Delivers projects are delivered with as much dollars as we were projecting originally. The main reason for that is the continued escalation of fuel costs, labor costs, and material costs. There's a hefty portion of the projects under the original program that are still not fully through the procurement process. And so we're concerned that our projections that we have right now may not be enough, projected costs, I should say, may not be where we come in once things go out to bid and fully through the procurement process. Under the arterial side of the house, packages 8 through 13 are in design, but have not had the construction costs bid out. And on the local side of the house, packages 7 and 8 are in the same place. So what we are doing is we're putting a pause on that. When the time is right and we have a better understanding of what those costs are going to be, then we can compare it against what our revenues are. And we'll have a better understanding of exactly how many surplus dollars we have to work with. And at that point, we would be coming back to the commission and reinitiating the conversation about, okay, what do we need to do or how would we like to see these surplus dollars allocated? So with that, happy to take any questions that the commission may have.
I'm not seeing any questions. While some people think about whether they have a question, I'll make a quick comment and endorsement of what you're proposing, because I feel with the inflation pressures that are out there right now, our first responsibility needs to be to make sure that the projects that were originally scheduled are all funded and done. And if we get through the procurement process and understand those costs, then we have a better idea of what our surplus is. So any other questions of Jeffrey? I am seeing none, Jeffrey. So we appreciate it. And we'll move on to item 10, Prop 101 updates. And it's right back to you, Jeffrey, for the financial reports.
Absolutely. And I'm going to share my screen. If you guys could just give me a thumbs up, let me know that you can see my screen.
We got it.
Outstanding. So this is the reports that we sent over to you, I think late last week. So program to date, we have collected $115,517,625. That breaks out between local streets receiving $46,195,966, and arterial streets collecting $69,321,659. Of that, we have already spent $32,936 with an additional $15,605,786 encumbered work that we're currently working on, leaving a balance to our originally programmed 100 million of about $40,361,277. This table is just a visual representation of some of those numbers shared in that table. And while you can't see it here, what we're currently projecting, if revenue trends continue through the end of June 30, is hitting about $125 million mark for total revenues collected throughout the program. Before I move on, I'll just ask any questions with this page from anybody.
Do we have any questions? I will throw one out there unless I see somebody else's question. Just for clarification, Jeff, basically the difference between the 40-some million balance yet out there projected and the 125 million, or the total, is we do not expect to have a $46 million surplus. The 46 is just what's not encumbered, and there are projects that are not encumbered yet. Is that correct?
So, in part, sir, what this $40 million difference is it's actually taking what we've spent plus what we've currently encumbered and subtracting it against the 100 million.
Yeah.
We're actually going to end up with a little bit more than 100 million. We're projecting potentially receiving up to 125 million. As far as the projected surpluses, I'll be able to show that on the next page and break it out between local and arterials there.
Yeah. Okay. And mainly what I was trying to get to is that we don't. That's not any kind of an estimate of what the actual number. What will drive the actual number that's surplus is how the other projects come in.
That is correct, sir. So there are several projects that we have yet to be able to encumber the costs for construction on, specifically those packages I mentioned in the previous agenda item. So they're not represented yet and in the encumbrances because we don't know how much to encumber yet.
Yep. Thank you. I think I finally communicated my question. Sorry about that. Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none.
Mr. Chairman, Al?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Al?
Yes, Jeff, I have a question. The end of the fiscal year will be the first day of July, but I know that everything's got to go up to the Phoenix and get processed and come back. So when do you think you're going to get your final accounting of how much money was collected total on this? Not spent. I understand that the contracts are still going out, but I was just curious, when do you expect to see the final total? In late July or maybe in August?
I would say the first part of August is when we should have the final totals, and we would have all of the numbers back for what was fully collected up through June 30.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Do we have any other questions? Okay.
Okay, moving on to the next page. This table, and I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit just to help out. So I'll have to navigate from left to right so we can see everything. But this sheet is just our arterial packages. It's the breakdown for each project, where we are at or where we expect to be at, based on what our original target was and our original projection for the package versus what it is actually going to cost. Sum total right now, what we are projecting is that we will come in at $64,068,270, which would put us about 1.8 million higher than what we originally budgeted. If that's where we come in, we would see a surplus in arterials of about $11 million. However, we have packages 8 through 13 that we think may come in a little bit higher than what we originally projected based on current circumstances and what's going on in the market. So we do anticipate that this 11 million may shrink a bit, but we do also anticipate that we'll be able to fully deliver all of these projects without having to cut anything back or down.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other questions?
And
Nope. Go ahead, Jeff.
okay. Similarly for the residential, we are projecting that full delivery of the program as of today would be $42,870,822, which would put us over target or over budget rather by $2,722,304, which would yield a surplus of almost $2 million. But again, same circumstance. We anticipate that packages 7 and 8 may come in a little bit higher than what we had originally budgeted for based on the current market conditions. Any questions
Okay.
between locals or arterials? Not hearing any. I'll turn it back over to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jeffrey. We appreciate your update. And we'll move on to item 10B, arterial streets. Sarah, you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
It's all yours.
So, all right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, members of the commission, and good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all again. So I will say that very heavily used phrase. I'm going to share my screen. Give me just a moment. Okay. And is everyone seeing my update list?
Yes, we are.
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. And this should look quite familiar to you all. So I'll go through this pretty quickly as I see we are short on time. Okay, packages 1 through 3 are still complete. And package 4, 6th Avenue was completed early in 2021. And Main and Granada, I don't know if any of you have been out in that area, but it in my opinion, it looks great. They are doing the final striping this week. So that project is wrapping up this week. And we are planning we would like to do the substitution of 6th Ave from Valencia to Los Reales, as we discussed earlier this evening, but we were, of course, just holding off pending approval of that substitution. But we would like to proceed with the contractor Borderland, and we will have a field meeting and discuss what needs to be done. So we would like to do that work with the current contract and in place of Los Reales. But that project is otherwise done, nearly done. Package 5, we covered this one. This is what I call the super project. So as Mike Graham explained, this is in the public outreach / public engagement phase. Phase 1, if you will, has been completed. We are now in phase 2 of the public engagement, and the consultant is just finalizing the contract modification to add the Prop 407 pedestrian safety and walkability scope to their contract. So as of this morning, I received an update from Ryan that he is sending his review comments back to the consultant. So that's where that is at. But design is moving forward. Fog seal package 6. We started that one, as you can see, back on 2/22/22. And as of Friday, so that project has 2 phases. There's the crack seal work that is 65% complete. They are scheduled to be, that work is scheduled to be complete by the end of May. And the fog seal work that had to lag, and that just started April 8th, and they are between 25 and 30% complete. But we had our weekly meeting earlier today, and the contractor, VSS, is aiming to be complete with this project by the end of May, because the heat is a factor with fog seal. They cannot do the fog seal if it gets too hot. So we really want to be staying away from June. So that is our goal, is to be completing this essentially in the next month. Rehab package 7, that is also nearly complete. That one started also in February 7th. That is Sunland. The paving is complete. So that is includes Fort Lowell, Glen, Grant, and Wilmot, and segments thereof. And paving was completed April 1st, and they've been doing the utility adjustments, and right now they are doing the curb ramps, replacing the curb ramps that were out of compliance. So we are also in the home stretch of that project, if you will. Final striping is scheduled for between May 9th and 11th, the thermoplastic striping. So package 8, that is one of the 2 next to go out. That is an east side package. I received a call about this today. So with packages 4, rehab packages 4 and 7 nearing completion, and the fog seal package will be complete by the end of May. In May, I am planning to have package 8 and 12, which is Silver Bell, to finalize the bid package and have those go through the procurement process. So those are slated for construction in the fall. Also, we have 2 remaining fog seal packages, 9 and 11. So those 4 projects are planned to go to construction this fall. Package 10 is very active. One decision we made just recently is we need to do a right-of-way verification survey, because for all of the ADA features in the downtown area, that we need to verify the right-of-way and determine if right-of-way acquisition is needed. So we will, pending the results of that study, we will then have a list. We can compile a list for all of the locations where right-of-way acquisition is needed. And in the meantime, the consultant is moving forward with design. They have been taking measurements and doing the inventory of the ADA features, ramps and sidewalk, and determining which ones are out of compliance and need to be addressed, and also coordinating with Tucson Water on the water analysis, which we have to do on every package to determine if the existing water line is too shallow and needs to be replaced. They've completed the survey and are beginning on the striping layout. And as I've mentioned in a prior BOC meeting, we have 2 consultants. So Kimley Horn is doing the pavement rehabilitation work for all of the routes, and with the exception of Church and Church Avenue is that is planned as a complete street. So SOMAS is doing that design, but they will be advertised as one construction project and scheduled to go to construction in summer of 2023. So, and I covered the fog seal packages 9 and 11. 12 is Silver Bell. So 8 and 12 are planned to go out, in May to go through procurement for bid advertisement. And 13 is still early in that one. The pavement work is done, but right now the consultant is doing the design for the water main. And so 30% submittal was back in February, but so that's still in design. But that is the rundown. So does anyone have any questions?
I'll ask one real quick. Go ahead. Who said they had a question? Hello? Do we have a question out there?
I saw Leanne just posted in the chat and she had to log off.
Okay.
She logged off, but we still have quorum.
Yeah, okay, thank you. Okay. On package 13, is there, you're at, basically what you're saying is the design work is done for the pavement, but the water main is still under design. Do we have an idea what the projected design completion on the water line is?
I can confirm this with the designer, Kimley Horn, but I believe my understanding is later this year.
Okay.
So fall, yeah, by the end of the year. So the design, Park Avenue, this segment of Park was originally in package 4. And then at 100% design, we had a meeting with Tucson Water and they said it needed to be deferred because of the condition of the water line. They were concerned with given the age and condition of the water line, that it needed to be replaced.
Yep.
So same situation as with Silver Bell.
Okay.
That one's going to go out over the next few weeks.
Okay.
That's
I'll just make this comment real quick. As a former owner of a water company, it's now part of the city. I'm familiar with this, and it's not unexpected when you look at these things and you start looking at lines that are 50, 60 years old that they need to be replaced. So with that said, I think that covers everything unless somebody else has any questions, Sarah.
I was just going to add to your comment, also, with materials like cement asbestos, that also is a factor in the need for replacement.
Yep.
And the depth.
Yep. So any other questions? I see none. Let's move forward then to Austin and the local streets. Are you there, Austin? Or your mic off?
We're good now?
Now, yeah, I hear you.
There we go. So good evening. Real quick, I'll go through the local packages. Packages 4 is complete. They have a few concrete ramps to finish out the punch list items, and then we'll close out that package. Package 6 is completely paved out. They're finishing up the utility adjustments in the Sam Hughes neighborhood, and they'll be done with that middle to the end of May. Package 7, the larger area up here off of Oracle, Miracle Mile, area. That package we have, the bid packages are ready. We're going to update the engineer's estimate to reflect the current market, and we'll see how that package goes. Package 8 is right behind it, which is the remaining 2 neighborhoods out on the east side. Those bid quantities are being tabulated right now, and so we should have both those packages up to procurement over the summer and beginning construction towards the end of the summer this year. And that is all I have. If you have any questions, fire away.
Anybody else have any questions before I ask mine? Not hearing anything, I'll ask mine. Back on package 6, is you talk about Casa Bonitas up on the first line, and then you talk about Casas Adobes in the bottom. I think, is Casas Adobes a misstep? I didn't even know that
Yep.
Casas Adobes is in the city.
Casa Bonitas.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay. Before I move on, is there any other questions? Or is everybody exhausted? Okay. With that, I think we move on to the citizen request log. Mike, you got any comments there?
So, yes, thank you, Chair. Letty emailed the citizen request log to you guys on Friday. Since our last meeting on February 15th, the special meeting that we held, there have been 43 additions to the citizen request log. I did break it down by ward, and requests in Ward 1, there were 5 of them. Thank you for sharing the screen. Ward 2, there were 14 additions, 14 requests. Ward 3, there were 3 requests. Ward 4, 8. Ward 5, 6. And Ward 6, there were 7. And that concludes the citizen request log report.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any questions of Mike? Hearing none. We're ready to move to item 12, future meeting date, format and agenda, format date / format agenda items. Do we have any agenda items or comments about the meeting, future meeting date?
Mr. Chairman, Jesse Lugo.
Yes, Jesse.
Requesting that future meetings be held person to person and not on virtual meetings in the future.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could address that.
Sure.
This was, thanks, Jesse. That's, it's a good request. However, the mayor and council had a discussion last week at the mayor and council meeting. The Mayor Romero was asking that they go back to in-person meetings for mayor and council. They're having some technical issues at City Hall in the council chambers. So I believe they're moving the next mayor and council meeting to Tucson Convention Center. But the question was brought up about boards and commissions, and City Attorney Mike Rankin did address this and did say that there has been no decision from the city clerk's office on whether or not to bring back in-person boards and commission meetings. But there should be some ruling that will be coming very soon on if we can get back to in-person meetings. I created the agenda and put the draft agenda together before the mayor and council meeting, and decided to leave this on because I don't know when you all plan on meeting, but there is the potential that if it's, you know, month and a half, 2 months, 3 months out, that we may be able to meet in person. The Mesquite Room, where we've always held the meetings at the administration of Parks and Rec, they've refurbished it. It's been renovated. It's very nice. They do have that option in there. They have a large big screen TV with a projector that there could be, you could do virtual meetings from there. You could do hybrid meetings from there. So I left this on the agenda that in thinking that the city clerk and the city attorney would potentially come up with a decision on if we were going back to in-person or not. So
Thank you, Mike.
Okay.
Appreciate the update.
Yep.
Okay. As far as a future meeting date, I think this thing that drives it most right at the moment is I think we probably ought to be looking at a July meeting unless the city staff has some reason why they think there's something that they need a decision on before July. So is there anything from staff that staff thinks that we should be looking at a meeting prior to July? Not hearing anything. Any staff comment?
You know, Chair, I'm just thinking here. I'm trying to, you know, May 17th is the special election, and I know that we've had in conversations internally that I'm not sure when Prop 411 would kick off. We still need to finish off the last projects of Prop 101. And I think at some point we're going to get a determination of what the makeup of the future, the independent, you know, commission that's going to be made up. But we may want to meet, you know, in June or put together something when we get word from the mayor and council on what the makeup of the commission may be. So, but that's unpredictable right now. So I'm not sure if how you want to move forward with that. That's just a thought that I have.
That I share that thought, that concept, and let me throw out there what the chair suggests. And this chair suggests that we plan a meeting for July, and I would suggest at this point July 25th, when we will get updates, get our quarterly updates. Concept that we may need a meeting in late May or June to discuss developments as far as the new commission, if there's going to be one, those issues, and whether we get some additional clarification as far as some of these other issues between that. So I don't think we ought to schedule something for June at this point, but I think we ought to just let everybody know that there's a possibility that there may need to be a special meeting in June, but we don't know what that looks like at this point. So choosing a date at the moment is not a good idea. And we could then poll by email of people as far as potential dates if we need to do something in June. Otherwise, we go ahead and schedule a meeting for July 25th. Is there any comments?
I think that staff is certainly open to that, and July 25th, I think is a date that will work for us. So.
Okay. Is anybody on the commission have a comment?
Mr. Chairman, Jesse Lugo.
Yes, Jesse.
Mike, just for clarification for some of the new members on the commission, when does the 101 term commission expire?
That's a great question, Jesse. I don't know if there is actual language in the ordinance that specifies when it does expire. I can tell you that the collection of the Prop 101 sales tax does expire on June 30th, and obviously the work is going to continue despite the sunset of the tax if 411 does not pass. But I don't know what the language is in the ordinance as far as expiration of the Bond Oversight Committee, and I'm not sure that there is one. I'm guessing maybe that if you know, 411 doesn't. But Jeffrey, go ahead, help me out here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if I could just jump in real quick. So the voter approved language did call out the BOC as the citizen group that would oversee these projects. And while you're absolutely right, I don't think that there's any explicit language saying that the BOC would be enforced through a particular date. I think what the spirit and intent was is that the BOC would stay on until the full delivery, until at least the full delivery of the Prop 101 projects.
Okay, I'll add to that. My understanding has always been similar to what Jeffrey is explaining, is that whether we do anything with 411, my understanding has always been that we would be in place until all the money from Prop 101 is spent. And I think that it's an undetermined date in the future. That doesn't mean we're going to go on and be doing 411, but I think that's to be determined as a separate issue. But I think the bottom line is we will continue to exist, at least that was my understanding, until we've spent all the money, until the department has spent all the money. And we've reviewed that. So any other, is that contrary to anything you, Mike or Jeff?
No, but Jeffrey, I just want, Jeffrey, thank you for helping out there with that reply.
Yep. Okay. Does any commission members have any questions about that? Hearing nothing, I think we then, I guess the only other thing we need to ask is, are there any other agenda items requested for the July meeting? I'm hearing nothing. So as it stands.
Mr. Chair, if I could just ask a question real quick on that. And basically taking notes from tonight's meeting, I didn't see anything that in the discussion that we had that I need to add to the agenda other than status quo, what we typically discuss. I'm sure there may be things that could come up, you know, between now and July 25th, but I don't recall, unless I missed anything, that there's anything that from tonight's meeting that I should place on the agenda. Just confirming that.
I do not recall anything. Is anything any other commissioner has to say? I think the information Jesse requested is supposed to be out by the end of the week. Other than that, I don't think there's any special request coming out of this meeting. And unless I hear something from somebody else, I'll summarize this way. We will schedule a future meeting definitely for July 25th to do our quarterly review. And other meeting in June, there's a possibility depending upon the other dynamics of things going forward. And we will communicate by email if we need to schedule a meeting prior to the July 25th.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I think we're at adjournment. I appreciate everybody's time and I appreciate the fact that we all went over, but thank you. We think we settled a few things and we go forward from there and we'll see you in July. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.